Imagine that before you stand two newborn beings, a calf and a human baby. You watch them carefully. After a short time, the calf manages to stand up on its own. Still unsteady and awkward, it walks toward its mother and finds nourishment by itself. Now observe the human baby. If left alone, without care, protection, or food, it would not survive. This leads us to an interesting question. Are cows and bulls more evolved than human beings? Because they can walk and feed themselves so quickly, do they possess more freedom than we do? Are they born free while we are not? In a way, the answer may surprise you. We are born completely dependent. We depend on someone to feed us. We depend on someone to protect us. We depend on someone to clean us, care for us, and welcome us into life. Perhaps the first truth about freedom is this: we are not born free. We are born dependent. And that is precisely why freedom is not something we receive at birth. Freedom is something we learn and earn throughout life. There are countless definitions of freedom. In this video, I want to share some perspectives that you may never have heard before, but that may contribute to your journey of self-discovery. For many people, freedom means doing whatever they want.
Doing what they want, when they want, the way they want, with whomever they want. But is that really freedom? Or is it merely the immediate satisfaction of one's impulses? In many cases, what we call freedom is simply a sophisticated form of selfishness. But where does this need come from? Why do we struggle so much with limits? Some will say that this is natural only during childhood, when we are still incapable of fully understanding the world. But look more closely. The desire for everything to happen our way does not necessarily disappear with age. There are emotionally mature children and deeply immature adults. Therefore, this is not a matter of age. It is a matter of awareness. It is a matter of emotional structure. It is a matter of psychological development. One of the greatest obstacles to freedom is the inability to take responsibility for our own lives. Many times, when we are frustrated, disappointed, or lacking direction, we are tempted to believe that the cause of all our problems lies outside ourselves. The fault lies with society. The fault lies with our family. The fault lies with the government. The fault lies with the system. The fault lies with destiny. The fault lies with God. But there is a danger in this mindset. When we hand over responsibility for our lives to others, we also hand over our power to transform them. It is easier to play the role of the victim than to take responsibility for our existence. The victim waits. The victim hopes. The victim believes that someone will come and rescue them. But freedom begins precisely when that waiting ends. When you realize that no one will live your life for you, no one will build your dreams for you, no one will develop your character for you, no one will accomplish your inner transformation for you. If society needs improvement, you can contribute to that improvement. If the world needs more awareness, you can become a more aware person. If there is suffering around you, you can become part of the solution. This is one of the deepest forms of freedom. Because the opposite of freedom is not merely physical imprisonment. The opposite of freedom is psychological and emotional dependence. It is believing that your happiness always depends on external factors. It is believing that your life will only begin when someone or something changes. True freedom emerges when you take responsibility for what you can transform. And to help us on this journey, there are 5 fundamental domains. 1. Mastery over addictions. Every time we are unable to say no to a destructive impulse, we lose a portion of our freedom. The greater our mastery over addictions, the greater our freedom.
2. Mastery over time. We are truly free when we consciously choose where to invest our attention. Wasted time is wasted life. This does not mean eliminating moments of rest or leisure. It simply means not allowing our lives to be consumed by empty distractions. We are capable of filling our schedules with unnecessary activities just so we can say, I don't have time for that right now. But having no time often means that something important within us has died. Dead to caring for our health. Dead to meaningful leisure. Dead to calling our parents and giving them attention, even through a simple phone call. Dead to that course we always wanted to take. Dead to the project that never leaves the drawer. Dead to our partner. Dead to our children. 3. Mastery over desires. Not everything we want is good for us. Not everything we feel like doing brings us closer to the life we want to build. When we become slaves to our desires, we cease to be masters of our choices. 4. Mastery over hatred. Hatred imprisons. Constant anger imprisons. Resentment imprisons. Very often, we become slaves to the very things we despise the most. As long as we continue feeding these emotions, we remain tied to the source of our suffering.
5. Mastery over passions. Anything that seduces us excessively can become a prison. Money, power, status, approval, pleasure. Whenever we believe that someone else is the absolute cause of everything that happens in our lives, we give that person a power they should never possess. We remain trapped in the past, trapped in resentment, trapped in trauma. But there is something that will always remain within our reach. You may not be able to change the events of your life, but you can change the meaning you give them. You can change the story you tell yourself about those events, about your life. You can reinterpret them. You can transform them into lessons. You can transform them into growth. Freedom is not merely an external condition. Freedom is an inner state, a state of consciousness.
An achievement. It requires knowledge. It requires discipline. It requires focus. It requires energy. And perhaps the greatest freedom of all is this: the freedom to become who you choose to be. Not because others want you to be a certain way. Not because society demands it. Not because advertisements and social expectations sell you a supposedly perfect life. But because it is a life that brings you fulfillment. A life in which you feel powerful and alive simply because it is your choice. Even if you do not know exactly where it will lead, you still have the freedom to choose. You only need to accept the consequences and responsibilities that come with those choices, without falling into the slavery of victimhood. And if you do fall, get back up. Ask for help if necessary. Then keep moving forward, understanding that sometimes we need to pause, reflect, reevaluate, make better choices, and continue the journey. There is much more to reflect upon when it comes to freedom. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and follow the upcoming reflections. It will be a pleasure to have you with us on this journey.